Hello everybody and welcome to Green Star Trading with me, Tom. All views, opinions and ideas expressed in this video are my own and do not constitute financial or trading advice in any way. Right, for the next few minutes we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, we're going to do some Elliott wave analysis, and then we're going to do some basic technical analysis. Now, first things first, I apologise for the constant humming sound in the background, but I have a couple of fans whizzing away here in my home office, desperately trying to keep myself cool. It is swelteringly hot in the UK at the moment and phenomenally hot down here in the southwest in Devon. I'm just a few yards from the sea itself, from the coast, living on the coast, literally just a few yards from the seaside. And it is still swelteringly hot outside, almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 32 degrees Celsius. And that's in the shade, so it is boiling. Now, as an American friend of mine from a few years back when I was in a different business, who used to complain when he was on holiday down here in the summer, he was from Texas of all places, and he used to complain about the heat here. And I remember having a discussion with him one day saying, what on earth are you talking about? It gets to 100 degrees plus where you're from. He goes, and he explains to me, I won't do an American accent because I'd slaughter it, but he explains to me how they have air conditioning as the norm. Air conditioning is not the norm here in the UK. 99.9% of residential properties in the United Kingdom do not have air conditioning. Okay, it would be highly inefficient for us all to install air conditioning for what amounts to about 3 weeks of the year actually having hot temperatures. The rest of the time it's kind of warm and mildly pleasant. But when it gets this hot, we have to actually put up with it, and it is hot. So if all goes well, I will have this video out to you by tomorrow, which will be the 21st, assuming my brain has not melted and fallen out of my ears, or I've suffered some sort of heat stroke and ended up in hospital. So either way, enough bitching and moaning about the weather. I wouldn't be British at the end of the day if I didn't do it. So let's get into the count. Now, rather than going through this Bitcoin count, or this Bitcoin count, or this Bitcoin count, we're just going to be doing our work here on what I call the Bitcoin naked chart, what I've named. This is because it only has both cycle and primary wave degree on it, and one intermediate correction we are considering completed at primary degree 2, and now we're in primary degree 4 is our assumption. Okay, we're going to discuss the various options for what's going on in this correction here very broadly and very basically when we zoom in and have a look, as I feel that nitpicking through all the various counts that are going around at the moment, of which there are dozens I've seen, we're going to try and bring it down to a few options, but until price action tells us what's going on, we are just kind of working with the big picture. So focusing on the big picture for a moment, let's just bring ourselves back up to speed about what we're looking at here. We did this just the other week. So we're trading inside this parallel channel here. We're taking the 1 to what we are assuming is our primary wave 3, and we have 3 peaks that could be our primary wave 3. We have the one here, the one here, and the one here, depending on whether we're looking at the old expanding flat pattern or the ending diagonal into a zigzag. Here, anywhere along here, the wave 3 topped. We've dragged down to the wave 2 to project to find the 4, and in time to find the 5, which, you know, let's just place at the top of the trend channel for the moment for the sake of habit. Okay, so that's our parallel channel. As you can see, currently trading around the median line of the channel here. Let's just take that away, bring up a pitchfork. So here's our pitchfork of our swing high, swing low 1-2. You can see how we've been trading around the median line here, bouncing above it. We had a move below it, we've come back and back tested it and moved away from it to the 38.2, and we're currently trading around there at the moment. Now if we just take this out of the way for a moment, let's look at a couple of price targets here. We've got the previous all-time high sat around 20k, 19664.98 I make it here, and we have our wave 4 invalidation point all the way down here at 13885.04. Excuse me, I'm just having a quick sip. There was half a glass of ice in there 5 minutes ago, it's gone. Anyway, getting back to the point. So Let's have a look at some fib retracements too. So we know we're trading around the median line of both the channel and the pitchfork. We've snagged here for a while. We're trying to decide what the hell we're going to do. Are we going to bounce up before coming down? Are we going to collapse from here into a deeper correction, of which there are a few explanations for. We've been trading around the 23.6, which is around the median line, and I think also on this time frame on the daily is around the 250. We're below the 250. Let's come out to the weekly time frame. I think we may have broken through. No, we're still in the process of, have spent the week below the 60 exponential moving average, which you can see around the 23.6, around the median line of the channel, around the median line of the pitchfork, la-di-da, and always all the various levels and other measurements as well. We can see that we have stopped at, well, not stopped, but we've been hanging around this area of confluence of all these different levels, including this previous noise back here of a smaller wave degree 4. But we appear to have actually moved below the exponential moving average, 60 exponential moving average here, after wicking to it several times. So this, I guess you could say, is bearish. Maybe we're going to thrust down and find a low here somewhere before we finally get a bounce, because I don't believe we've had any significant bounce yet. So let's just hide this away as well. Bear with me. Okay. And we'll put this back in the box. So now that we've got a rough idea that we're still in this primary wave 4, is what I believe. We're channeling nicely. We're well within market structure. We have a nice fib measurement as well. If we take the length of R1, project it from R2, we get a 1.618 around this peak here. This was the peak for the expanding flat, so we went A, B, C, or was it? I think it was this peak. It doesn't really matter. Either way, we've come through the 1618 for a primary 3. Let's just hide this. No, there's a spare one, isn't it? Let's just delete that. So now let's come in and try and figure out what's going on here. We're just going to run for a few counts, okay? Rather than coming and looking at all the detail counts, we're just going to keep it super duper simple. So let's start with probably the more popular count that's going around at the moment. This is the idea that we completed in an ending diagonal into the primary wave 3 up here. So we went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. And now we should be, in theory, working on some kind of 5-wave move into an A, 3-wave move into a B, 5-wave move into a C. Something like that. So this is one of the more popular ones. Now the problem I've got at the moment with this is just how far down we've come. Not overall, but in terms of this recent price action here. This bunch of nonsense here. Because this is where the count really starts to break down and become difficult. There is a way we can count this impulsively. I'm going to dig into that into a minute to show you as well an alternative. So let's call that number 1, which is the idea that we've had 5 waves down so far, completing, and this would be an A for a zigzag. So we've gone A, we're then going to go B, and then we're going to go C, like that. So a 3-wave move to come, and this would be 3 waves into the A here. This would be some kind of messed up B wave, and then we're going to go up higher. So options inside of this B wave, there's several. Okay, because we're dealing with a potential B, the low here at where we began our A isn't necessarily sacrosanct in any way. There's nothing stopping us from going 1, 2, 3, some kind of screwed up B wave within the A to get to an expanding pattern to a new low, and then get 5-wave move in the C to complete the B. That's a possibility. And then we could still break down in the C. So there's no need at the moment to try and count this impulsively to a lower low. Okay, we can get to a lower low correctively as part of an expanding move. Okay, so we've already retraced 90%. At least, I think we've almost retraced 90% of this swing off of the low. Yeah, so here's the 89, which is the purple line down here. So we can see already that the potential for a flat is already in place. We've got a 3-wave move here. This does not look impulsive. Maybe you could try and describe it as such. We'll have a pop at it later. But you could just say this is maybe a double combo into a B, which is stopping at 90%, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice bull trap into an impulse to find the C leg of our B, and then that will trap a bit more liquidity, let some people out as we trap some new people in, and then we'll start our C wave down to complete this zigzag. We could even come beyond the A, because we've had the 3-wave move here. We could have another move to here beyond the A, and then we could have 5 waves up into a B before heading lower. So the ABC idea is probably my preferred idea. I think this still has the greatest potential. Exactly how we get back into the B wave, we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then into an A, and then A, B expanding, C, and then down. That's a possibility for a corrected B wave. And we could still have further to go before we rally. We could rally any moment now. But the ABC zigzag, but with an expansive B wave flat, is definitely possible. So we can consider that. Now, one of the less popular ones, which was the one I was originally backing before we had such a collapse in price, this is going all the way back to May, is the idea of an expanding flat. Now, what's interesting about this idea is, even though we've stretched the C to the point where it's ludicrous, is the pitchfork off of it is still in some kind of technical play, I'd argue. So here's our pivot here into what we were saying was an A, 3-wave swing into the B, 1, 2, 3, whatever this is, 4 here, 5 here, complete at the edge of the pitchfork, move up, move back, now we go. Very, very deep too. This is probably the least likely scenario, but if we look at how the pitchfork has worked here during all of this move, right, from our swing low, swing high, as we move down from this high, we get a tag on the median line, we get a perfect tag here on the outer bound, we get a thrust below the median line, we wick through it, wick through the outer bound, wick through the outer bound, never body above it, never body below it. All the bodies of the candles remain above the 50, which is the blue line here. Tick to it here, tick to it and body above it here, tick to it and body above it here. So this line here, we're just using as some kind of downward stairwell, and we just step down it. But there's been support here the whole time. We had a move back up to test the median line. Again, we've channeled between this 38.2, 38.2, 38.2, 38.2, 38.2, 38.2. This whole channel here has been in effect inside of this pitchfork the whole time. Like that. Okay, so we've been channeling along here, bodying all the candles above these wicks. So, I'm not saying the count is correct, but for some reason, the geometry of the count, or the geometry provided by this count, has been in effect, I would argue. You may disagree and say, oh Tom, you're just seeing things. I'd argue that with the touches we've had here, and the channeling between these 38.2s, 61.8s and 50s within this pitchfork and the median line, suggests that this thing has been in play the whole time. So something's been using it, you know, something which is moving enough money frequently enough has been paying attention to this geometry here, and it's been playing out in some way. So on the off chance that this count is still right, which we're accepting is unlikely because the wave C has expanded all the way down to the 2.618 here. We've even wicked through it once. We're very close to it again, alongside the 61.8 gold line away from the median line inside this pitchfork. So yeah, it's traditionally far too long to call a C. We wouldn't really want to see a C go beyond the 1618, but you know, maybe if we come off of log scale, we can see that we have come through the 618, we've come through the 200, we haven't gone so far as the 2618. Yeah, I'd argue it's too long to be a C, I would. But maybe it is. It's just one of those things. Maybe we're going to get a circumstance which defies all of our expectations. Alright, so let's hide this again. So there we go, we've talked about the old expanding flat pattern, that this is an A, this is a B, this is 5 waves into a C, which is either completed into a 1-2 to go higher, or is still in a wave 4 looking for a 5 down. So I don't think that's likely if we go any lower, because the sea would get even more overextended. So the other count is the idea that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A. We're working on some kind of B, which could be expansive before we come back up in a bounce to a B before we come down 5 waves into a C. Fair enough. So I think I'm still leaning into that one. So let's just pick out a possible area that we could come to. So from the 38.2 all the way up to the 78.6 are viable targets for a bounce for the B wave. So based on how high we come back up into this area will affect how low we end up down here. So for example, let's just say we bottom somewhere near where we are now. We come right into the middle of the box. Then a 1-to-1 would bring us above the previous all-time high. A 1-to-1 ratio at 29,115.98. We've got all the way, even if we come to the lower end, which is the 38.2 from where we are, the 100 would be 17,078, which is still well above the invalidation point. If we were to come all the way, we can come back basically. If the current low is the low we're looking at, we could come sideways before we break down, perhaps. And that would bring us all the way down to 13,918. Any move below that would break the invalidation point, and we could no longer assume we're in a wave 4. So there's an awful lot of room yet to come. So the most favoured count for me is this was some kind of bottom, this is some kind of internal move, and this will be the next move down. Okay, I don't know how expansive this move is going to be. It may stop any moment now, it may come deeper. It could be a 1.618 extension, it could be a 123.6, we don't know until we see it. But that's the count I'm leaning into. Now let's talk about two other counts which seem to be going on at the moment. And this is, one of them is this. So we've had a move down off of the high, we've had a 1-2. I've seen this 3-4 to here, and now all of this is a 5. This whole thing. So I guess what we're saying in this circumstance is that we've got a diagonal. Let's just line it up. It just doesn't look like one at all, but I've seen it counted, so let's just think about it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to go 5 to here, with a diagonal in the fifth. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't like this at all. Just, I'm not even sure we can get away with it, to be honest. What are we suggesting here? Are we suggesting a contracting ending diagonal? Or are we suggesting an expanding ending diagonal? It doesn't look like either, to me. So, that for me is not the count. So scrub that. So what's the next option? Now the next option may seem crazier, more ridiculous, but you could argue it's possible. So there's two more to cover here. Let's do this one first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is going to be an extension. So we just get a really long 5. So problems I have with this. Let's just check. Did we get a wave 3 extension? We went past the 1.618. So yes, we did. Outside of log, we came exactly to the 1.618 for our wave 3. So it's an extension in the wave 3. So very rare to see 2 extensions in an impulse. Okay. So if you're going to see 1 in the 3, it's unlikely you'll see. Well, you definitely won't ever see 1 in the 1 if you've got 1 in the 3. The only time you'll ever see 2 extensions is if you get an extension in the 3rd and the 5th, and that's what this situation would be calling for. Because based on traditional targets of the 1 projected from the 4, the 100 is down here at 23,311. So that would bring the wave 5 into where we'd expect it to be from the wave 3. Okay, so I'm alright accepting that idea. But here's the problem with the count. If we've got 5 waves to come down in the fifth, we've only done a 1 and a 2. We haven't even got the 3 yet. So the idea that we can conclude that quickly, I'd argue, is unlikely, because this has to be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, you get the idea, 5. Obviously going lower. Now at this point, we're getting like a massive extension in the fifth. Just like crazily bigger than the 3 and the 1. And I don't see any way you could possibly squeeze in a third wave. I mean, let's just say, let's not bother too much about structure for a moment. The third wave will finish here at 15, 4, 7, 8 if we get an extension within the 3 of the 5, which would be perfectly typical given the length of our 1 here. So that would bring us down to here. Normal retracement for the 4, 5 to here. Okay. Oh, I don't know what I've been doing. Okay, all over the place. So that's a big ass 5. No doubt about it. Taking us through invalidation. If this is a 1-2, which means this can't be a 3-4 at this point on primary degree, which means the whole bloody thing's wrong. Yes, this would have to be something completely different, which I don't really have an option for at the moment, to be honest. So I find this unlikely as well. I find the idea that we're going to have a gigantic fifth wave to be very unlikely. I also find it very weird if we were to not have any kind of sensible relationship within wavelengths of that wave 5. Let's just take the minimum for a moment. So we're going to see a 3 at the minimum equal to 1. We would make, if this is a motive wave, an impulse wave, then a 4, then a very small 5. Let's say this wave just ended up janky as hell and completely out of whack, and we ended up with a big 1, a 3 equal to the 1, and therefore a stubby 5. And then we finish here before the all-time high. Here's the problem next. Right, let's say we get even this short version of this count. Right, we now move our box down to here and across a little bit, I assume. Stretch it out to the 61.8. Now here's the issue we're going to get. Let's say we come to the middle of the box on this. We get our A to here. We come to the middle of our box here. And where does our 1-to-1 ratio take us? For our A, B, C. Takes us below wave 4 invalidation all the way down to 2,844 Bitcoin. Dollars. 2,804. I don't see that myself as a viable. It's definitely not a wave 4. Now let's come into log and be a bit more generous to the assumption here. This would have us finish before the invalidation point, but we need to, first of all, we need to adjust our green box, don't we? Because we just switched into log. So coming down to the bottom of our proposed wave 5. There we go. Now let's go down to our proposed wave 5. This is the short wave 5. That's all screwed up and wrong, remember? We would finish our ABC through the previous all-time high in Nat's whisker above invalidation. If we came to the 38.2, which is at the bottom end, in log, we would break the wave 4 validation point and we would have an invalid wave 4 count. So even with the short version of this 1, 2, 3, 4 extended 5, even with the shortest version we could logically, rationally assume, we are still going to get an A, B, C through our invalidation point, or too close to it for comfort. If we get a perfectly normal wave 5 extension, in the case that we've already got a wave 3 and we have similarity of wave degree with our wave lengths and relationships between our 1 and our 3 and our 5, then we get an even longer A, which when projected up 38.2 to 78.6, then projected down, gives us a C well below invalidation point, even on the log scale. Sorry to be waffling so much, so that's my issue with that idea. I feel we've had 5 waves completed. I don't think we've completed the wave 4. I think the most likely scenario, having done 5 waves down, and I do think it is 5 waves down, is that this is some kind of 3 wave move here. This will be a 3 wave move of some sort, maybe a double combo or a triple combo. For our B wave, which could be expansive because we've had a 3, we can have an expansive pattern in our B which would count as 3 waves since it's not a motive wave, it's not impulsive, it's still corrective, which could bring us beyond the where A began. Then we could have our move up as a C, then our move down. That's probably what I'm leaning into. I can't give you any better than that at the moment. The price action is just cancerous at the moment. It just does not want to tell us what is going on. Excuse me. I would, however, argue for the bullish case, against the bullish case, that this is in a finished expanding flat, purely on the basis that I see no impulse wave here. I see a 3 wave swing. Okay, I do not see 5 waves here, I see 3 waves. So we're not going 1, 2, that seems unlikely. But A, B, that seems likely. Okay, so wherever it comes to, let's just throw out some targets. How do we want to do this? No, that's not going to work, is it? So let's take our fib retracement. So, what have we got down here? We've got 100%, 90 to 100% for a regular flat, so we're pretty much there. So the possibility of a bounce is already alive. We could bounce any moment, but we've also got the 123.6 to the 38.2, or sorry, 1318, sorry. And then we've also got the 1618 all the way down here. And let's just change that to colour the yellow. So it's possible with these two targets, this is the length of our A, this will be the length of our B. A to here, B somewhere here. Between 100 and 1618 for an expanding pattern. And the 123.6, sorry, this is the 123.6, 1618. And then a C in 5 waves. And that will complete a greater A, B, C to come. And that, I think, guys, is the best I can do at the moment. Let's just bring up our momentum indicators here and have a look what we can see. We already know with our 10, 20, 60 and 250 exponential moving averages. We're on the daily time frame here to bring up our volume profile as well. Let's just clear this count for the moment. We've got our proposed ABC on the chart. This is my preferred count for the moment. Let's go out to the weekly time frame or to the chart. Remembering that we're in log scale. So we've had bearish momentum in the MACD dying off for many weeks now. Lighter bars on the histogram. No sign of a crossover back to the upside on the weekly time frame here though. Could resume bearish momentum to finish off the completion of this A. That's possible, we were just talking about that. We're not in oversold conditions, so maybe that's just what we need to do. Just like we did here on the 1, on the 2 on the primary degree, just like we did here on the 1 and the 2 on the cycle degree. We did a round trip, overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought. Maybe oversold is what we need to do. Maybe we just need to crush this, get down here into a completed A, get that oversold reading, bounce up into a B, then come down in a C, finish before the wave 4 invalidation point, spend the next few months out until the end of the year getting this done, or maybe longer, because this B wave could be a son of a bitch. We just don't know how long it's going to take. And the C could step down slowly is also a possibility, so we just don't know how long we're looking at here. Once we've got a completed A and a B, we can have an idea as to how long the C is going to take, but that would be a guesstimation at best. So looking for the A to complete, maybe reading that oversold, maybe looking for that oversold condition on the weekly time frame. On the daily time frame we are getting oversold now, we're just poking our nose into it. I've seen some people arguing that there's a bullish divergence here between this low and the new low, but the thing is we've got a lower low in between the two, so until I see divergence between two successive lows as I would two successive highs, I'm not going to read too much into it, as it could have easily have been cancelled out with a thrust lower could be cancelled out with a thrust lower now, for that matter, if we do race down to find this B. So it's not diversions until you've got a low, and it's not diversions until you've got a high. You're just guessing. Until it's confirmed, you're just guessing. 60 over the 250 with the price below it. This is traditionally a death cross. So no doubt people, if we do break down now to find the A, and we thrust down here, no doubt that will be when people start shitting themselves and panicking and unloading their Bitcoin. But that's alright, I'll buy it. I'll have it, please, mate. Because I know from experience that death crosses often signal the approach of a bottom, and death crosses often and golden crosses often signal the approach of a top. Maybe in a temporary time frame. In this case, it would be a temporary time frame because it would only be an A wave with a B and a C to come. But still, a bloody good pivot to buy if you get it. I think so. Because that B could go anywhere from 38.2 all the way up to 78.6. Think how much money it could drag in on the way up, right? Before it turns around and shits on everyone's head. So this is the more likely scenario. Now, I do feel like I've been rabbiting on for ages now. This is why I did not want to dig through all of these counts in detail in each chart. It would have taken me forever. I hope I've helped you, to some degree, figure out what's going on. I am none the wiser, to be absolutely honest, to hold my hands up. I have my bias, I have my prejudice, and that's it. And that's all I've got at the moment. And my bias is that this is some kind of downward move into a into a zigzag, a 5-wave move. We will get a bounce sooner or later. I believe that. And then I believe we will seek out lower lows in the coming months. I also believe that. I cannot prove it yet. I can only show you potential targets. But this is the best I've got for you. So, depending on what happens, if we get a bounce, I'll be back with you guys next week to talk about the levels we're looking up for the upside in terms of retracement and the likely wave structure we should be observing, which would likely be a 5-wave structure if we do get a flat pattern. But I'll come back. If nothing really progresses in the next week and we end up just screwing about again, I might just give Bitcoin a miss. Because it's one of those weird assets where it gets an incredible amount of traction on my channel, but people are always in a rush to get another video of it, and when you've gone sideways for weeks, it always perplexes me why people are like, when's the next update? Well, fuck all's happened. So when it's necessary and when we need to look at it. So I'll be more than happy to do that, but at the moment we just don't know for certain what's going on. So right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for joining me on this technical analysis of Bitcoin. If you're new to the channel, if you like what you've seen, please subscribe, smash the like, hit the little bell notification icon to remain informed of future video releases. Leave us a comment in the comment section below if you want to. And thank you, as always, to my Patreon subscribers. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, there's a link in the description below. Please go over and have a look, see if there's anything in the free tiers that you like the look of. And also, if you're not following me on Twitter yet, there's a link to my Twitter feed in the description below as well. Alright guys, take care, and I will be back with you later in the week. Bye bye.